Hello and welcome, I'm Ito, the Guildmaster of Ultimate Fighting Guild. As it's currently Twin Peaks Call to Arms weekend, I thought I would show you some tactics on how to run your group when it's Twin Peaks on the RBG rotation. This video will cover Twin Peaks, RBG, groups and specific roles. So if you're a tank, healer, DPS or RBG leader, there should be something that everyone can take from this video. So first we're going to talk about making a group, and that's everything from setting the group, what size it should be, all the way through to things you can do to improve your group performance. Then we're going to talk about Twin Peaks as if you're a tank, and then from the healing perspective, and then from the DPS's perspective. So then, making a group. So first you need to select your team. So we normally run with 1 tank, 3 healers and 6 DPS. Each of these classes have specific sub-roles, so we'll discuss these some more over the next few slides. So you've got 3 healers in total. You need 2 of those to be defensive healers, which stick with the tank and follow him wherever he goes, and 1 to heal the offensive team. And finally, out of your 6 DPS, you should assign a few specific roles to some of the DPS. For instance, whenever the healers need healing, you should have 2 people on standby for that. 1 person should be the focus caller that's responsible for which target dies next for the whole group, and 1 should potentially be a flag recapper who can sniff out the flag when we're about to lose it to get it quickly and escort it back to the tank. Some ways you can improve your team: you can use the same add-ons, that helps. We use battleground targets a lot at the moment, that's very handy for seeing the enemy team. You can share useful macros, these include ones from Gladius which announce spells usage, which can be handy on the battlefield. Use TeamSpeak or Ventrilo, these are really handy for communication. You can practice your techniques in duels and stick with the team and grow with it, that helps more than anything. And finally, this is all stuff that you can practice with your teammates, be it in random battlegrounds, duels or however you do it. If you don't know any of this stuff on here, you should look it up on the internet as well, because it can be very handy. Okay, so this is the Twin Peaks map. As you can see, our base is in the top right. We've got a health pickup which is in like a ruin, you can see there marked on the screen. We've got a berserker pickup opposite, there's our graveyard on the left, the bridge in the centre of the map, the enemy graveyard opposite. I forgot to mark the red hut there, also has a health pickup with the berserker power opposite it, and finally at the bottom the enemy base. So that's Twin Peaks map, sort of overview there of all the areas. So if you're a tank, when you enter the Twin Peaks, the first thing you do is you set your role and check you're in the right spec. If you're a tank, you want to set your spec right before you enter. Then you need to find out who your defensive healers are. You buff your team with any spells you've got that they need. You inspect the enemy, and overall you listen to your leader, because he'll be giving you blow by blow play of the action. So as soon as the battle starts, the tank and the healers want to move fast to collect the flag. We'll discuss the route later. You need to get the flag, that's your main goal. You also need to report any progress over TeamSpeak, like I'm just collecting the flag now. Once you get it, you want to get it back to your base and defend the flag. And finally, if you are a tank, you have to adapt to change. You have to use defensive loops to keep your attackers at range. You've got to report your stacks to your team so they know when they can take down the enemy. Use the battleground targets add-on, that's absolutely awesome to see when the enemy flag capture is about to go down, and save some of your cooldown so you can cap really fast. So let's take a look at the route you'll most likely be running if you're a tank. As you can see, you exit the side of the base and move down to just above the health hut. From that point you should ask yourself a question: are the enemy coming towards you? If they are, then basically you can call for the DPS to help you. Moving further down, obviously if they're still chasing you, you need to let people know over TeamSpeak. And finally get into the base and see if there's any people defending it or not, as the case may be. So as a tank leaving the enemy base with the flag, you either take the green route, the yellow route or the red route. If you take the red route, you've got to be really careful because you'll essentially pass the enemy as they res. Whereas on the opposite side, the green route, you can see that you're actually running past our team as they res, which can be extremely helpful for the tank. If you do take the yellow route around the middle, you'll have to see where the enemies come in with our flag and take the opposite route. And once you've got the flag back to the base, you can use these defensive loops here, green easy, yellow medium and red hard. Okay, so next, if you're a healer, what you first need to do when you begin is set your role. The leader normally decides who's offensive and defensive healers, so you'll have to stick with the tank or with a DPS, depending which you are. And then you need to buff the team and inspect the enemy. That's very important because you can see who's going to be nasty for you to deal with, who you want to, be on guard with healing. Okay, so when you actually start as a healer, you want to stick with the tank or with a DPS that you've been assigned. You want to call for peels when you're attacked and you're getting too far away from the person you're supposed to protect. And then you need to report when you're dead, ideally tell how long before you can resurrect, when you're out of mana, and most importantly keep everybody alive. Finally, as a healer, you've got to adapt to change also. So say if you're out of range of the person you're supposed to protect or the people, or if you're slowed or surged by many people, you need to report that straight away. Try and save some CC for personal use to escape, mainly. Name enemies that cause you to heal loads. That's ideal because then the DPS can take them out first and it makes your job easier and thus theirs. So next we're going to talk about DPS's perspective in Twin Peaks Rated Battleground. So when you enter, the first thing you want to do is set your role. It's brilliant for visibility, so healers know exactly what your role is when they're healing you. And then you need to find out from the RBG leader which is the main target caller from the DPS. Finally, buff your team, inspect the enemy and listen to your leader. So if you're a DPS, when you start, first thing you need to do is stack together on the target caller. That'll allow you better to respond as a unit. You need to focus your team damage, that's essential to take down targets fast. You need to wipe the enemy flag capturer, that's your main overall goal. And go where asked and respond to heals when required, and every other specific DPS task I mentioned previously. And finally, if you DPS, you've got to also adapt to change. You've got to peel the healers fast when they require it, they should say on TeamSpeak or Ventrilo. Defend the flag capturer when required, when they're obviously waiting for stacks. Report major CC and be prepared to emergency recap as and when required also, because that can happen quite a lot unfortunately. The DPS need to wipe the enemy flag capture, that's their main goal. So you go down the bridge in the front of our base and you see what you can see. If you need to go and help the tank, you can go and help him on the left. Else stop the enemy flag capturer sneaking by, normally on the right over the river. Other than that, you want to wipe the enemy in the middle. If you're dead, say how long before you resurrect at your graveyard, because that's extremely helpful. And if you're actually waiting to go and wipe the enemy flag capturer, then you can wait behind the hut or on the bridge for your teammates that might be resurrecting. If you're there, you can also check and see how many people on the enemy team are resurrecting and where they're going. So thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe to our channel to get more videos like this. Like and favourite, that helps us a lot. And come back soon, we're going to be doing a new video series very shortly. We're just in the process of picking the right ones. Thanks a lot to Thrive and everyone that was involved.